Dana White has been trying to expose just how broken the UFC ranking systems is, but he does not realize that he is part of the problem.
You mentioned that, I don't know if it's seriously or joking, that you'd like to see AI do the rankings.
We're not far away from AI actually doing these rankings. It'll be a great fucking day when AI starts doing this shit. Rankings are definitely a problem. AI will be here soon.
Because I'm going to expose just how broken these rankings are, and I found out some bombshells. But ideally, the rankings are supposed to help fans get a better concept on who is fighting who. The theory is the higher ranked you are, the more likely you are going to get a title shot, but the ranking systems have been completely destroyed by the UFC, as well as a completely unknown list of reporters. Like, guys, just wait till later in this video, guys, because I found out some crazy stuff I cannot believe. But I want to just spend a minute or so giving a little bit of context. There are so many examples of the UFC ranking system just absolutely failing us. Take a look at this weekend, right? You might like the fight this weekend, but if we're going to be 1000% honest, why is Khalil Roundtree, a guy that's ranked number 8, getting a title shot before a guy who is on a win streak, who is higher ranked than him? It just doesn't make sense. And right off the bat, like, clearly there is something wrong with the rankings. In theory, Magomed Ankalaev should be getting the title shot. And yes, I know that there's special circumstances with Magomed declining certain fights, but then let's look at Renato Moicano last weekend, right? He just defeated Benoit Saint-Denis, a guy who is ranked number 12, who had a very close fight against Dustin Poirier, who's ranked number 4. Renato Moicano pretty much dominates him in the first round, and with a win over BSD, Renato Moicano does not move 1 inch, not even 1 spot, despite having a better performance than the guy who was number 1. It is so bad that in the same weight class, Max Holloway is ranked 7 places before Justin Gaethje, despite literally a few months ago dominating Justin Gaethje and brutally knocking him out. The ranking systems just make no sense. But a lot of people are mad at this, and you know, I know a lot of people might be surprised, but Dana White and the UFC don't have much to do with, you know, who is ranked who. We are told time and time again that the quote-unquote media is in charge of making these rankings and voting, but if you actually take a look of the list of quote-unquote MMA journalists on the list of people that are voting for the ranking, you'll notice that there is no recognizable MMA brands, right? No MMA fighting, no MMA junkie, not even JackMMA, absolutely nothing. And you just see these absolute unknown people. Like, what are they doing? And guys, it is unbelievable, right? Because you would think they're, you know, MMA experts, right? They have to be. If they're deciding who gets the next title shot, in theory, that's how the rankings are supposed to work. These should be guys that devote their careers to MMA, correct? So I'm going to show you guys some examples of the quote-unquote panelists on this ranking systems that the UFC has hired. So let's actually take a look at this. So as I showed you guys before, this is the list of the, you know, the journalists on the panel, you know, making these rankings. So let's start off with the first one, right? KHON Honolulu. And if you'll take a look, this is just a generic, like, local news station in Hawaii. Like, what is going on? There is not one actual news thing about MMA. Like, I am scrolling. These are the guys that are keep on making the rankings. So they're not even posting anything about MMA. An event literally just happened. There's a big pay-per-view this weekend, not to mention. I mean, honestly, I'm even gonna test, like, the last article even about MMA was about Dan Ige. There's not any news about the upcoming pay-per-view, right? Then it gets even crazier, right? Then I looked at MMA odds breakers, right? This is just the second one. I picked a few generic ones, right? Like, this site looks like it's made out of I don't know what. I went to Wrestling Observer. This is a wrestling site. Like, this has nothing about MMA. This is literally for WWE. There are tons of qualified, you know, MMA journalists out there. Another one, Top Turtle Podcast is on there, right? I believe you could find it somewhere. Top Turtle Podcast, Wrestling Observer, Top Turtle Podcast, at Top Turtle MMA, whatever. 1,000 followers, guys. 1,000 followers. And look, I'm not shitting on anybody. You know, I respect the come up and all that, but should these people really be, you know, deciding the rankings here? And here's the last one. This one is, I believe, CFMU. There is, once again, not a single shred of MMA on here. This is all music. There's not even anything for UFC. No shows, no videos, no blogs. So this company legit, to my knowledge, has written nothing about MMA whatsoever. And these are the people deciding the rankings, guys. Like, this is ridiculous. And this is, I just picked a few guys. Like, there is literally like, I mean, you could probably pick any one of this list and be baffled. Why are they picking these people when there are totally qualified people out there? MMA junkie. You know, you might not like Ariel Helwani. He's obviously someone out there too. Even MMA YouTubers at this point would do a lot better of a job at these rankings. Like, it's just ridiculous. And I also want to say that this is also Dana White's fault, guys. Like, this is at the end of the UFC's fault. The UFC made this. Like, this isn't like, you know, something out of nature that just happened. They chose the panelists. Like, why would they actually choose these panelists? It is so weird to me. Like, what do you think is going to happen if you put clearly inexperienced people in the world of MMA? What do you think is going to happen if you have them in charge of the most important panel, right? In theory, this is supposed to be the most important panel. So before Dana White jumps to AI and everything, can we at least have real journalists vote on these things? This isn't even personal to them. Obviously, they are not going to be as good as somebody that devotes their career to MMA. So this is also UFC's fault. At this point, I think they got two options. Number one, either switch these guys out with actual MMA journalists, MMA YouTubers, even if you want to make it smaller guys for some reason, I don't know. Or number two, just do the rankings yourself, right? If the matchmakers do the rankings themselves, at least the fans will have some general idea where the division is going and where these fighters are going next. But I'm a loss of words, guys. I could not believe what I found. Please leave a like and hit the subscribe button. Check out my last video where I talked about Alex Pereira and Magomed Ankalaev, how, you know, apparently Magomed Ankalaev is just lying about Alex Pereira. Also made a video fully explaining the UFC antitrust lawsuit. Thank you guys for watching. You guys are the best fan base in MMA. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below, and I'll see you guys in the next one.